All right, so I just picked up this 2006 GasGas 300 CE here. A little rough around the edges. I got it for 625 bucks, and it runs good, starts right up, but obviously it's very rough around the edges. Had a few things wrong with it. One, someone put a screw in here that was too long and punctured a hole in the gas tank. So apparently there's a hairline crack or a pinhole in it there. Minor things like the kill switch, of course, the levers are all bent out of sorts there. The bars seem straight. Plastics, everything, guards here, super bent. Tires are good on it. These look super nice. And then the rear shock here, I thought the bushings were super bad because I could just lift this up with my hand on the stand here. But it looks like someone just loosened the preload kind of all the way in there, and the spring's not even touching it, so that should be a somewhat easy fix. I'm not sure about the condition of the actual engine itself. It has an hour meter, it says 90 hours. I'm assuming someone added that last time they rebuilt it, so we'll definitely check on that. The rear brakes, apparently it's super hard to get parts for this caliper. That's what the guy was telling me. Let's see, let's get a KTM sticker on here, since that's half the problem. Get that, we don't want that crap on here. Other things, he said it needed a new air filter. What he didn't tell me was he already bought it and just literally placed it in there, didn't oil it or anything, so hopefully he wasn't riding it like that. The fuel bowl's got a little bit of a leak here. It looks like we might be leaking stuff from other places here. Didn't seem like it leaked coolant, although I didn't check how much was in there. The front wheel bearings not in the best shape, so yeah, just overall needs a lot of work around the edges. So first things first, before I actually start diving into this, it definitely needs a bath, especially to get all that gunk off of there. So let's take it to the car wash and clean it up. I'm gonna use some super clean. Now, I don't normally use this stuff to wash my bike, but since this thing is so grimy, I think it'll do a good job at cutting through all the grease and everything. All that dirt. Spray everything. Alright, so this thing cleaned up pretty nice. Looking a little bit better. I can actually see what's going on down here at least. It's all nice and clean. But next on the list here, we're going to be doing a compression test just to see how good this actual engine is, whether or not it needs a rebuild. So I like to do this with most engines I buy used, just to, you know, get a basis of the condition it's in. Pretty quick and easy to do. You just pull the spark plug and then thread this compression tester in, kick it over a few times, and see what you get. And we'll probably wind up sticking a borescope down there too to see if we can see any scoring or anything inside there.
So the compression was good. We were right at about 175 PSI. And here you can see the video from the borescope inside the cylinder. And if you look closely, it doesn't look like there's any scoring on the cylinder walls itself. And there's also no carbon buildup. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape here.
So I got the carb taken off here. Pretty much came off pretty easily. What's weird about these GasGas is I guess they use nuts on the back of all the bolts, so that was a little bit of a pain to get a wrench behind all those, but other than that, it came apart pretty easily. I got this guy all cleaned up here, pretty much the same as any other carb. Fuel bowl comes off, the float there, of course the jets and everything, got everything cleaned up. I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and it really wasn't dirty in there at all, but since I had it apart, might as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and button this thing all back together. So I got that carb all back together, but before I put it on, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take off the reed valve here and check that, make sure it's all good, and probably clean that as well. And then the other thing I wanna do is clean out this air box. So the power valve here looks pretty good. Have some chips on that corner right there. But other than that, everything looks pretty good. I'm gonna throw this guy in the ultrasonic cleaner just to try and make it look a little nicer, but I think it's all ready to go back together. So I think the best part about taking this off is I can see the bottom of the skirt on the piston there And I guess the scoring looks a little bit worse on camera, but it's really not too bad, especially for the price I paid for this thing. It's not terrible, so pretty excited about that. Hopefully it shouldn't need a rebuild for a while. And yeah. So I was able to get that carb all back together and put back on the bike here. And I actually rode it around a bunch this weekend, and it didn't seem to leak out of the bowl anymore, but it's definitely still leaking out of the gas tank pretty good. So I bought some new heat sinks where you just kind of heat these things up. It's kind of like a threaded insert, but you heat it into the gas tank because right now, like I said, these screws are literally drilled right into the gas tank, and it's just like a normal wood screw. I'll show you guys when I take it off, but that's leaking pretty bad. So I wasn't able to ride it a ton, but this thing feels extremely sketchy to ride. I mean, it feels like it has just an insane amount of uncontrollable power. But part of that is the suspension is all out of whack. I don't know if you guys can tell here, but I don't know. The suspension, especially in the back, is just kind of not there. So either this shock is just completely blown, which I don't think it is because I messed with the clicker a little bit and it seemed to adjust the stiffness, or I showed you guys before how the preload was backed all the way off. So I put it back on a little bit before I rode it just to, get it rideable. But I still think, since at the very end it feels like there's just no preload there. So I'm going to try and stiffen that up and see if that makes any difference. So the way I'm going to adjust this is, let's see, did this back off? No, it didn't. Well, those are the adjustment collars there. Now there is a special tool you can get for this, but if you don't have that tool, I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer here to back off that retaining collar, and then this one below will tighten down a whole bunch to tighten the preload on the shock. And you can see there's plenty of adjustment in there. Goes all the way down to there, so we barely have it on any. So I might take it down like, I don't know, like a ½ inch or so, which is a lot. So we should definitely be able to tell a difference with that. So I have the preload adjusted much further down now, and it definitely feels better. You can kind of tell just by sitting on it. I haven't actually rode it yet, obviously, but just from sitting on it, it doesn't feel like it's completely blown. You can totally tell if it is, though. If you've ever sat on a dirt bike with a blown rear shock, it literally feels like you're riding on springs. Anything that if you push this down, it pops right back up, and it makes it really hard to ride because you basically just get bucked off anytime you hit a bump. But yeah, and the front suspension, someone had the clickers on here all the way out, so I turned those. That one's turned in a little bit more than this one, but I turned those in a little bit, and it feels better. We'll see if it actually is, obviously, but feels better. And then they both say rebound here, so hopefully one of them isn't supposed to be compression and we just have 2 rebounds instead, but it feels better. All right, so I was working on the bike again here and fixed this wire here that was just a spade connector tied into the bottom of that screw, so that's actually grounded out now with a new terminal. Then working on the kill switch here. So I have the new kill switch, but I just ordered a generic one off of eBay, and these are the wires coming from the bike. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to cut this connector off that the kill switch came with, and we'll add 2, I think these are called bullet connectors, but we'll add 2 of those on there and plug it right in. So I got that kill switch installed here. Seems to work pretty good. I haven't actually run the bike yet, but I checked for spark before and after pressing the button, and it seems to work. See, those bullet connectors are kind of tucked in there. I already zip tied everything in place, but everything seems to be working good there. I also got the new plastics on, so that looks a lot better. Wasn't too impressed with how these fit up. They're polyplast, so not the best, kind of cheaper side, but they work and it looks a lot better. And yeah, got everything mounted up. Those threaded inserts that I put in here look pretty good. They lined up well. So yeah, so what I'm working on now is this seat bracket. So you can see we have one here, and then this side fell off, and we need to make sure that there's 2 of these so that all the force from
you know, if you're sitting on the bike, is not concentrated on that one side. We want it to be distributed between both sides there. So what I'm doing here is I just have some flat stock aluminum. I'm gonna try my best to replicate this bracket here on the other side. You see it's got 3 flat sides there. So I already cut this piece, and so I'm gonna heat it up and try and bend it as perfect as possible. So I just finished up fabbing up this seat bracket here. Came out pretty well. Tested it on the bike and everything lines up perfectly. You see I got a riv nut on there just like the original. And unfortunately I had to make it out of steel just because I didn't have any aluminum that was the right gauge. But this should work perfect. So as you can see, I got the seat mounted back on here. Everything lined up perfectly. Bolts lined up well. Unfortunately, the plastic cracked here when I was putting that screw back in, but that's all right. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, this bike seems to run really well. Idle's good, runs good. And you know, all the plastics are mounted properly. There's no more holes in the gas tank. Gas tank doesn't leak. And new wheel bearings in the front. But yeah, pretty much the whole bike has been gone through and seems to run great. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.